Welcome back to another podcast. Sat next to me is a very special guest in a very special location. We are back at Heist HQ. Ellie Horrocks, what is the message?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. Let's go straight into it. In 10 days' time, you are embarking on a mission to become the youngest ever woman to run the length of the UK. Am I right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that is absolutely insane. What made you go to do such a difficult challenge?
I love the mental side of things. Like, I've always been into sport and I've always thought, and a lot of people have told me that I'm mentally crazy. I might not be the fittest, I might not be the fastest, but mentally I'm the strongest. And I just wanted to test my mind, see how far I can go. And I did a world record last year and it didn't break me. So I thought, I'm going to run the UK.
I love that. I love that. Going straight into the mix of, it didn't break me, so I'm going to go do something even more difficult potentially. Go tell us a little bit about that. The Guinness World Record for the most burpees in 24 hours. Crazy. Again, crazy. We'll go back into the running of the UK in a moment, but as you said, you broke a world record last year, was it?
Yeah, last year.
What even made you decide to do that? Because I know I hate burpees, like to the point that it's the worst thing ever as an athlete, and you've decided to go and attempt to do a Guinness World Record for the most in 24 hours. What made you sign up to do that?
I was meant to do an Ironman that year, but I got really poorly. So mentally, I was like, I need to do something. And then I saw someone put it on their Instagram, a guy who was going to do it. And then as soon as I saw he was attempting it, I Googled the female world record, screenshotted it and sent it to my dad. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And he was like, oh gosh, another crazy idea. And then when it came around to him doing it, unfortunately, he didn't do it. He stopped because of an injury. But then I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. Just to prove that this ordinary girl from Bradford can do crazy stuff.
For sure. I love that. I love that. But you're not ordinary though.
No.
Far from ordinary. Far from ordinary. You're already a Guinness World Record holder. You're about to set off on probably one of your more difficult endeavours. When you're looking up the record and you see the number, do you remember what the number was?
8,116.
8,116 burpees in 24 hours. When you look at that number, what are you thinking about?
I didn't really think much. I just thought, I just got to beat that. I didn't think, oh, wow, that's a lot. Like, it was a lot, and it was really hard to beat. Like, hats off to the person who got that, because it was a brutal challenge, and it was really tough to get. And I think I only broke it in the last half an hour or something. And it was tough, but it didn't scare me. I just thought, I'm going to give it a go.
Just going to give it a whack.
Yeah.
I think people can take a little bit away from that, in that you probably didn't think about it too much. Like you said, you just went for it and seen how you got on. In terms of training and tactics going into that challenge, because like obviously this is something that's completely out of my realm of understanding as such. Like obviously a lot of the people who I train, who I coach, like they do an hour to a 90-minute session, like 3 to 4 times a week. I'm trying to make sure that they're balancing work life and other things like that. So in terms of when you're prepping to go for 24 hours straight, how are you looking at that challenge? How long are you giving yourself to train for it? And then how are you going about it? Because we were doing the maths on it, me and the lads, because obviously the lads at Heist here know you very well as well. And we were doing the maths on how often you'd have to get up and down off the floor to complete that challenge, and we were blown away. We were like, we'd be ruined. So what type of prep are you doing going into breaking a Guinness World Record?
So I decided I was doing it in December, and I was still doing triathlons, and I didn't want to miss any of my triathlon season. So like the latest I could do it was April. So what was that? January, February, March. 4 months. 4 months of training. So I bought a weighted vest, a 10 kg weighted vest. I was just doing like 500 reps in the garage at home. I was doing 12 hours, 24 hours of just like staying up. Staying up for 24 hours I thought was the hardest thing, because I love my sleep. So I was just practicing, doing my normal day-to-day activities, going to work and stuff, but staying up for the full 24 hours. And I did 6 hours of burpees in one go, and then I was like 8 hours, and then I thought, I'm just going to do 12 hours, see how I do. And I did my 12 hours and thought, yeah, I can do this.
So you only built yourself up to 12 hours, and then you said,
Yeah.
I feel ready to
Yeah.
go.
I was doing burpees all the time. I was doing burpees every day, just with a weighted vest on. And yeah, I just need to keep going, don't get injured. So I was doing loads of physio on like my shoulders because I had to put my arms out to the side because for Guinness World Record, your chest to floor burpees, they made you put your arms out. So your chest was definitely to the floor. So I had to do loads of shoulder work, otherwise I would like hurt my rotator cuffs and everything. And my hips, loads of hip strengthening because you're just going up and down for 24 hours.
That is insane. And the difficulty for someone who's never done a burpee, burpees are minging.
Yeah,
even when you're
horrible.
doing even when you're just doing like straight arm burpees, like just like push up position, then you add the chest to the floor element, and then you're putting your arms out by your side. Crazy. Like it's blown my mind that you did that for 24 hours straight. Going into the challenge then, obviously you said the importance of sleep. Like you said you love your sleep. By the sounds of it, how hard you're training, you need to sleep to recover.
Yeah.
But when you're going into approaching 24 hours of being awake straight, what time did you start? What time did you finish? And how are you eating between? How are you hydrating? How are you going about it? Like it's intriguing to me, to say the least.
Yeah. So the start timing, we were debating because I wanted to set off in the morning. I'm a morning person, and then it wouldn't change my routine, like night routine, like when I wake up and stuff. But there were a competition on the Sunday, so the day I would finish. And the guy at the CrossFit gym, 606, wanted me to still be doing my burpees when the competition's on, a bit more of an atmosphere. And I was a bit worried about it at first, but I was so glad I did that because near the end, that was like my toughest time, and there were like more than 100 people watching, and there were people doing burpees like next to me in the competition, and it was really good. So I started at 12 lunchtime on Saturday and finished 12 lunchtime on Sunday, which was really hard to do because I had to change my sleep pattern for like 2 weeks before, so I could wake up at like 11.
So you were sleeping in going into the competition. So
Yeah.
you got up at 11. Did you have a big feed?
I can't even remember what I did. I think I was pretty relaxed. Like normally on a triathlon race, I'm panicking, I'm getting in my own head. But I was so chill, and it was really weird. Like I went onto the rower before I started, and my dad was like, "Why are you rowing?" I was like, "I'm warming up." He was like, "You don't have to warm up. It's 24 hours of burpees." I was like, "Yeah, that's true." But I was so relaxed, and I knew I could do it.
You just believed straight away.
You've got to believe in yourself. Otherwise, you just won't do it, will you?
And did you have any breaks in the 24 hours to like eat or anything? Or
Yeah. So at the beginning, I was doing it in 100 blocks. So 100 reps, then I'd have a drink. After 500, so 5 blocks, I would have something to eat. But that lasted like 6 hours, and then I was just throwing up everything that I was trying to eat. So I just stuck to liquids with like carb drinks in.
I was gonna say, like, if you were eating, I wouldn't have been able to stomach anything for like, well, at all really, because when you're training so intensely, your body's just like saying no.
Yeah.
There's a certain stage, like when I do a strength training block, obviously, let's say I've done a decent enough lowers day, I'm hungry after.
Yeah.
But then when I start elevating my heart rate up, I lose all my appetite for hours, especially when I go like really hard. So after a game, some people are the opposite. Some people after they play rugby, they're starving. I feel like nearly sickly if I eat in like the first 2 hours. And you need to eat, obviously, to fuel your body. But sometimes after such intense training, you just don't feel like eating, do you? And when you're doing that for 24 hours straight, I'd imagine. So you're getting sick while you're doing it.
Yeah.
At what hour do you feel like you're just, or was there ever a thought where you felt like quitting?
I didn't think I was going to quit. At no point during the whole thing I was going to quit. There was a point during it where I was a bit worried I wasn't going to get the record. But even if I wasn't getting the record nowhere near track, I would have still done 24 hours of burpees. I wouldn't have been able to not do 24 hours of burpees.
That's unreal. Which hour was tired time? Bedtime? 12 hours in or so?
It was like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
3 a.m. was the hard bit. Like I went for a little nap in the van because I was exhausted. And then my dad was like, "Ellie, you're seriously going to have to start moving faster. Otherwise you're not going to get this record." And just like stared at him, looked at him in the eye and like, "I'm doing it." And then I just started picking up the pace.
That's unbelievable. And by the sounds of it, like your dad seems like he's very supportive of the things that you're doing. What's your relationship with like with him? Is he involved in fitness?
Yeah. So my dad had me really young, but he's always said to me, Ellie, well, you're living in my house, you've got to do sport twice a week. Because he's obviously seen it growing up, the people who play sport and the people who don't. And like the things you learn through sport just helps you in everyday life, you know, like your mindset and everything. So he's always pushed me into sport. But then I've always like been ambitious and like dreamed big. So then I've always just wanted to excel in whatever I do. So, and my dad's been like my best mate. My dad's my best mate. He'll go to everything I do and support me no matter what I want to do.
That's the best ever. And the power of having someone in your corner saying, no matter what you go for, I'm going to have your back. People don't understand how much that holds, like in terms of as an athlete. Seeing that someone is in your corner, they're watching you. It's unexplainable, isn't it?
Yeah,
knowing that someone's there, and like I know when I was younger, like I wasn't anything special as an athlete, as a rugby player. But knowing that my mum or my stepdad were there watching my game, it just meant so much to me. It means the world to you, doesn't it?
It does.
Having someone there that's in your corner, and then obviously as you've climbed the ladder and you're shooting for new heights, like with this next adventure in the next 10 days, knowing that someone's going to be there for you in your corner, sticking out for you, going, you know what, whatever we're doing, like we're all in. It's unbelievable. So obviously you said your dad had you young, grew up playing a bit of sport himself, I'd imagine.
Yeah, he played rugby.
Yeah. So then obviously having that influence on you, do you feel like that sort of helped you just fall into the natural sporting game? And then what brought you to CrossFit?
So I used to do swimming. I started swimming lessons and then I really enjoyed that. So I started swimming like club. And then like when I got into high school, I started running and stuff. And then I did triathlons and I wanted to improve my strength. So I went to CrossFit with my swimming club and I just loved it. I fell in love with it. I just loved how everyone killed themselves for an hour and they were just dead afterwards. I just loved the pain. It sounds really weird.
It sounds psychotic.
Yeah, it does. But I just loved just pushing my body, seeing how far I could go.
And a lot of people, when they train, they don't know what that feeling of being like done is. A lot of people's done actually isn't done. And I see it all too often. Like, as I said, as an online coach, like someone will send me a video of their RPE 10, of their most intense set. And I'm like, you have 4 more reps there. You have 6 more. Like, are you really going as hard as you can? So I do see that in the CrossFit community. And the first time I stumbled across CrossFit was on the documentaries that came out. What were they? Do you remember them? Matt Fraser was winning everything at the time.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the documentaries were called. And I was like, these go hard. They go so hard. And it is really like the ultimate athlete is you can do everything, can't you?
Yeah.
You can run, you can swim, you can bike, you can row, you can do burpees, you can do all of it. So I did really like that style of training. And when I see people do it, obviously it's not really how we train for rugby now. We have a bit more sport specific stuff, but I just see how brutal it is. And I go, hats off to the people who do that. And hats off to the people who do that after a full day's work. And then they go into the CrossFit gym. Like you probably see it when the people who come and train, you go, like they've been at work all day and they've come in and just gone so hard. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy.
Absolutely mad. Going on to the challenge now. So you've become a Guinness World Record holder.
Yeah.
How long after that did you go, right, I need a new thing?
I was like, I won't do another challenge for a while. But then, like, after you've done a big event, you're down afterwards, aren't you? You hear it a lot with, like, boxing and stuff. And then I was thinking, what could I do? And the hardest geezer were running Africa.
Yeah.
And everyone were talking about it. And I listened to the podcast on Diary of a CEO of him. And it was crazy what he was doing. Like, he nearly got kidnapped and everything. And I just like, I would run Africa.
So you listen to that and go, I'd have a bit of that cake.
Yeah, no, like, just the adventure. Like, how cool is that? Like, I just don't want to live a boring life. And I think doing challenges like that is inspiring so many people. And I would love to do the same. And I said to my dad as like a joke, can I run Africa? And he was like, no, Elliot. I was like, what about the UK then? And he was like, yeah, you can do that if you want. I'm like, okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head, is that it's inspiring other people.
Yeah.
And obviously when the lads, I didn't know who you are, I'll be honest. and when the lads mentioned you and what you were doing to me, well, firstly, I was like, this is insane. But then and they were like, you should get her on the podcast. And initially I was hesitant, I'll be honest, just because it's out of my comfort zone. It's out of my realm of knowledge. And when something's out of your realm of knowledge, initially you're obviously a bit standoffish. Like, and I didn't think I'd be that way, but obviously I was. I know rugby players. Like I know speaking rugby. I can sit next to a rugby player, and that's my comfort zone. But then when I heard you see like what you're doing, the mission that you're about to go on, and then I was like, this needs to be out there. And especially like you're from Bradford, you're from where the team I play at, and it's something like really local to me. The fact that you're doing this, and I think more people need to know about it. And obviously you're raising funds for defibrillators.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about why that was the decision of what you decided to fundraise for.
So I've been thinking about what I should do it for a while. For my burpees, I did it for blood cancer, UK, but you never actually see where the money goes. I know it helps them a lot, and I was glad I did it for blood cancer, but I was like, I want to do something where I'm getting something and I'm actually going to help like the community. And defibs is a big thing. I've got I ain't got a heart condition. I've got like an irregular heart rhythm, which I found out at a triathlon a few years ago, like 5-6 years ago. And I've been in and out of like the hospital, getting tests done and seeing like everyone in the cardiology unit. And there's just so many people, and it's crazy to think how many people have heart problems. And if I didn't have an ECG at an event, then I wouldn't have known. And there's probably so many people who don't know they've got like an irregular heart rhythm. And cardiac arrest can happen to anyone anywhere. So defib should be everywhere. So I thought it's a good thing to do for everyone, the community, wherever they get placed. So I thought I'll do it for defibs.
I love that. Well, it's a mission that's close to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
When you found out that obviously you had an irregular heartbeat, did anything change with your training? Were you hesitant to continue pushing yourself? Because you've been doing this a long time by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I was hesitant. I was on the British Triathlon pathway at the time, and yeah, like my training, I didn't stop training, but I was really hesitant. And my dream was to go to the Olympics, and I thought, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to go to the Olympics now. And I got kicked out of the triathlon academy for some reason, and I was like, what should I do now? And when I did my Guinness World Records burpees, I was like, this is a good chapter if I need to stop sport to end it on, doing a world record. But then I've had loads of tests done and everything, and the doctor said I can like carry on doing what I'm doing. There's nothing wrong. We'll just keep checking you like every year.
Outstanding that. That's unbelievable. Well, it's credit to you really that you've dealt with that adversity.
Yeah.
And then obviously bounce back and then continue to set a Guinness World Record. I just want to touch on that. So you're on the British Triathlon pathway, yeah? Mm-hmm. And then obviously this news comes. And you get let go from that pathway as such. What's going through your head then? Because I've been in that position where I've had trials at the northeast of Leinster. My dream was to make it as a pro rugby player. I don't make it on the final trial, and like my world shattered to pieces. Yeah. At the time, I was at this crossroads. Obviously, one party is like, it's done. It's over. Especially when you're a young person. You know, I would have been 15 years old at the time. When you're that age, you're probably not as wise to the world of how life goes. So you're at that crossroads where part of you thinks this could be over because the initial path that you've been shown is gone. But then the other party is like, prove them wrong, isn't it? Yeah. And I could tell that straight away speaking with you for 20 minutes now and prior to the podcast, that competitive nature is in you. But when you come to the crossroads, your whole world has shattered. Everything that you've trained for up to that point seems to be out of reach all of a sudden. What is going through your mind then when that door shuts as such, and then how have you pivoted to come to where you are now and build that resilience to set world records and now go on? What is the name of the project? Project 2020? Yeah, Project 2020. To go on Project 2020. So yeah, after that adversity, how have you dealt with all that?
So it was really tough because for probably 6-7 years, my dream was to go to the Olympics. Every breath I took, I was like, Olympics. Like I woke up in the morning, the first thing I think of is what should I do today to help me get there. You know, like, I was obsessed with it. And then once I got kicked off, I was like, my dreams just, like, been shattered. And I was like, I am wasting my time training all these years, but I'm not letting it go to waste. All that training that I've done, I'm going to get somewhere with it. So, and I was liking CrossFit at the time as well. And I just was like, I'm going to go into the more mental stuff. So I started training for like Ironman, because everyone was like, Ironman is the hardest triathlon. So like, I didn't do it with British Academy. I just went off by myself and trained by myself with my own coach. And I was training for an Ironman because people were like, that's brutal.
So you were like, oh, I want to do it.
Yeah. And I just used the people who were a bit negative in life and don't think you're going to get to where you want to be as fuel for the fire.
100%. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Like, people sometimes think that having that as fuel is a bad thing, when it's actually not. Like, you can go through painful events and use that as fuel.
Yeah.
Like, I think arguably the worst thing and the worst situation is when someone goes through something painful and then uses that as an excuse.
Yeah.
Do you know, you have two options when something shit happens.
Yeah.
You can use that as fuel, or you can use that as an excuse, as a get out. And I will always choose fuel. Like, in the perfect world, nothing bad happens to anyone, and life's great. You know, you get what you dream of, and every step along the way is just another tick on the box. You know what I mean? Like, in the rugby sense, you go through the pathway, make it to the top, win everything.
Yeah.
But life ain't like that.
No,
you know what I mean?
life is not like that.
Unfortunately, life isn't like that. So you have the chance to use something like that as fuel, or to use it as an excuse. You obviously chose that as fuel. So what age are you at this stage when you start prepping for an Ironman? Because you're only 20 now.
Yeah.
Like, 20 years old, for anyone listening. This is insane, by the way.
I was probably 16, 17 probably when I was like, right, I'll do an Ironman. But the youngest you could do it was 18.
So you begin your training.
Yeah.
You said you reached out to a coach. How did you even go about finding a coach at that age?
So in swimming, you go for like swim analysis, you know, like videos in like endless pools, and look at your technique and like tweak it a bit for like the fine margins. And she loved triathlons as well, so then she started becoming my triathlon coach. And I have a really good relationship with her. She's like one of like probably my best friends when I was doing triathlons and everything. Like, I could talk to her about anything, and she helped me so much. And she knew who I was. Like, I'm not a very talkative person, I'm pretty shy, but she just could see. She saw so many kids and she was like, you're different. Because I remember going to see her one day, my first day I met her, and she always tells me this, like, you usually say, oh, what do you want to do? What's your dream? And everyone goes, oh, I want to be an Olympian. And then she goes, oh, what event? 100 free, 50 fly or whatever. And she asked me that and I just went, anything. I don't even care what sport it is, I just want to go to the Olympics. And she could just see that I was just on it. I just had this goal, and she was like, you crazy. So she just wanted to help me, and she did a lot for me. So yeah. That's
awesome. That's a great story. And again, goes back to that point that we were speaking of earlier, someone who's seen the vision and believed in you. Every young athlete needs someone who's in their corner. Obviously, it starts with a parent and then a coach. I know for me, when I was saying I want to be a pro rugby player, a lot of people weren't believing me. I had one coach called Paul Vaga. He literally just took me under the wing. And like, as far as Paul's realm of knowledge of rugby went, it was there, but it wasn't huge. But in terms of training, mentality, all of that, he just took me under the wing. Yeah. He took me under the wing and he just said, like, anything you need, I'm there. So if I needed a lift to go anywhere, if I needed to go to the gym, we did loads of gymnastics. So when I was on a year out of rugby, I was forced into a year out of rugby, and we did so much gymnastics training, so much core training. We were pulling cards, we were doing all of that. But he just had this abundance of belief in me. So I knew that, like, I could ring him right now and say, get on a flight to Leeds, I need you over here to do something, and he'd be there. Do you know what I mean? So having a coach like that, it's something so special, and especially when like you said, like when a door shuts in your face or a dream gets shattered, having someone in your corner who's going, you know what's next? Yeah. And like you said, you go to this coach and say, I just want to be in the Olympics. That's it. That's the dream.
Yeah.
That's the dream, though. Like I coach people all the time. I help them like change their lives essentially as an online coach. You know, obviously it's a smaller scale, but it's still really relevant to them in terms of changing their life. But all that you want in terms of someone that you want to train is someone who believes in themselves and someone who has a bit of drive, and you have that in absolute abundance. So that is outstanding. But what I wanted to touch on there, obviously, when you're in the pathway and then obviously you get let go, you've clearly had a lot of time invested in that. And as a young person, you still have school to do, I presume. You still have a lot of other commitments. Did you potentially have a job, or were your family always supportive of the mission of you trying to get to the Olympics? Because that takes a lot of buy-in from a lot of people to get an athlete to where you are now.
Yeah, so I was still at school when I had that dream. And so I was doing all my schoolwork. My dad was like, "You're not missing school," because there were kids in the morning, like at swimming training, that would miss like the first hour and a half of school so they could get ready and go. But he was like, "No, Ellie, you're not missing any school. You're going to be there on time because you need a plan B. If your plan A don't work, which is your sport, you need your education." So I was always at school. I never missed school. And I did start working just to earn some money because it's hard to fund everything.
I was going to say,
for
yeah.
the sport. And my family have never been given anything on a plate, so they expect me to work for what I need, which I'm thankful for. They've helped me in so many ways. Like, they bought me my race bike and I was over the moon. I think I cried for like a day over it just because I was so grateful and I respected it, which a lot of kids nowadays don't respect. Like, even like, you know, swimming lessons, I paid attention. Not many kids pay attention in swimming lessons, but I paid attention because I didn't want to waste my parents' money. I didn't want to waste my parents' time because I didn't have a lot of money at that age. And I think that's another reason why I got as far as I did, because I just respected everyone and I just did it. No excuses, I can't be bothered. I just cracked on and did it.
For sure. And for someone so young to have such a mature attitude towards things like that, it's special to see, and it's definitely why you are where you are now. And it's funny you say about crying when you got your race bike, because again on a bit of a smaller scale, but when it was 2015, the Rugby Union World Cup was on at the time, and Rugby Union was my dream. Before I came over here and started playing Rugby League, I wanted to play Rugby Union, I wanted to play for Ireland. And at the time, the 2015 World Cup was on, and the All Blacks, so New Zealand brought out this line of boots, so rugby boots, and they were all black.
Yeah.
And Sonny Bill Williams, he was my favourite. He had this pair of all black boots, and as far as my 15-year-old mind knew, I just needed them. It was the only thing in the world I needed. At the time, I'd never had any like nice boots. I always had just like bottom shelfers or a pair that were on sale or whatever, you know, like I didn't, like yourself, like my family didn't have a hell of a lot to be spending loads of money on rugby kit or anything. I had what I needed, but probably not too much more. But I was obsessed over these boots, yeah. And at the time, the mother was putting money away for the mortgage. So when you're getting a mortgage, you obviously need to show that there's no big expenses coming out. And I'm just I need these €220 pairs of boots. But like, I remember my mom was like, "Listen, we can't get them." And I was like, I understood it. I understood it, because €220 for a pair of rugby boots, it's mad to me now at 24 years old that I'm spending £200 on boots. Like, forget 15-year-old me who had no money, but I was gutted obviously, but I understood because of the circumstances that it was. But I'd watch Sonny Bill playing in these boots, and then I remember whatever way it worked, we got like a voucher or something, like a £20 voucher. And my mum said to me, "Ronan, listen, I've got it together, like we can get you the boots." And I was like nearly crying. Like, I was like, this is the best ever, right? So I got these pair of all black boots. And you're probably thinking, why is this fella waffling about boots here? But I'm going to get to my point now. So I got the boots anyways, and I kept them in pristine condition. And they're the best pair of boots I've ever had in my life. And then 5 years on from that, when I made my Super League debut in 2020, I wore those boots, which is 5 years for a pair of rugby boots is a bit crazy. Like, usually my pairs last me 6 months now, you know, but this pair I kept in such condition. And to look back on that time of my life where, like, obviously the mother was saving for the mortgage, and there was like, I didn't think I could get them, and then I got them, and then I got to make my Super League debut and become the second ever Irish player to play in the Super League. It's just full circle moments like that. And obviously your upbringing and seeing that your family sacrificed to get you to swimming lessons or get you the race bike, it puts it into perspective that when an opportunity comes, you have to work hard, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it makes you that much more grateful then when something does come your way, that it's time to work for it, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyways, going on to the Ironman training. So you're doing the Ironman training, and then you've done the Guinness World Record. Mm-hmm. Now we're coming on to the Project 2020, the next mission. Super exciting opportunity, I suppose. After being a record, I keep going on about it because it's blowing my mind. Being a Guinness World Record holder, now you're going to run the length of the UK. 10 days out. You're sat next to me. I feel very lucky that you're sat here. Where are you starting the beginning? And tell us a little bit about what, for people who don't know, what Project 2020 is. You're raising money for defibrillators. You're on a mission for yourself. You're setting yourself out on an endurance test. But for people who don't have a clue, how would you sum it up?
So Project 2020 is a challenge that I've set myself. I'm running from the top of Scotland to the very bottom of England, so John O'Groats to Land's End, 900 mile, and I'm going to be 20 years old. The aim is to do it in 20 days, so 72k a day for 20 days, and to try and raise at least 20 defibs for gyms, sport clubs, so like rugby clubs across the UK. So that is what I'm doing.
Insane. 20 years old. Insane. So you're starting up at the top of Scotland?
Yeah.
Have you planned your route?
Yeah, so I've planned my route. I drove my route like 2 months ago now, and just like...
How long did the drive take, just out of interest?
It took me 5 days.
I was going to say 2 days. 5 days. So
5 days.
5 days it took you to drive it.
Yeah, but I was going like really slow, and like stopping every 10k, marking it on Google Maps for my support crew, because I just want it to be as easy as possible for them.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of planning gone into it, and like figuring out where I could stay if I get this far, if I don't get this far, and yeah, 5 days took forever.
That's insane. And again, like just touching on the investment financially and time wise, you obviously work at the CrossFit gym, doing a bit of coaching and that. Like you're having to take 5 days away to go and map out this route. Like it's a huge investment in time and effort to plan this out. So you're planning out where you're going to stay, where you're going to stop. Yeah. Have you booked all of those places, like where you're going to stay? Or what are you even looking for when you're planning on staying? Like, are you just going for the basics, or are you going luxury, or what? Like, I have no idea how you could do that. 72k sounds like sounds like a car distance away. You know what I mean? Which it is.
So luckily, we've got not a camper van, like a kitted out van with a bed in, and I'm going to stay in that. So wherever we stop, I'm going to have a bed. My support crew, we've got tents just in case there's no accommodation nearby or it's too expensive, and they're going to camp in a tent next to the van. If I get accommodation, which I'm hoping I do, just for my support crew really, because I don't want them to be grumpy on my run, because they've got a lot to do, and I'm thankful that they're doing the run with me, but I just don't want them to be grumpy, otherwise it'll just be hard work for them. And so the accommodation, ideally I'd like it to have a bath, so I could have a bath on an evening, but just something cheap with a bed, so they're not just sleeping on the floor outside. In
a tent, that's crazy. So how many people are in the support crew for this mission?
So
I'm going to call it a mission.
A mission. There's only 2. It's just my dad and my boyfriend, because it's hard. It's like 3 weeks. No one could take like 3 weeks off work, so it is hard. And then I have got a camera crew with me, Urban Flux, so Carl and Craig, that are going to be there at the start, in the middle and at the end, who are going to film it and hopefully make a documentary out of it.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. That's absolutely insane. And again, like how do I even put this into words? The enormity of this challenge is like, it's hard to explain into words. And I don't think a documentary would even do it justice. Like 72 kilometers, that's nearly like a double marathon a day, isn't it? Not far off it.
Kind of. I've got to do like 33 marathons in 20 days.
Yeah. So. Insane. In terms of the prep for this, obviously you said you've been running a lot just prior to when we started filming, running a lot on a lot of physio. So how many Ks are you trying to stack up throughout the week, throughout the day? And what does a typical day look like, I suppose, in the prep for this challenge?
So right now, a typical day, I'm doing like 10k a day, and then my physio and stretching. 10 days out, so I don't want to do anything ridiculous. I built it up over the months. In January, I did the 496 challenge, which is quite a big running challenge, where you put the numbers 1 to 31 into a hat. That's how many days are in January. And whatever number you pick out, that's how many K you run. So, but I did it in mile because I was like, I need to go further than a K.
So wait, let's get this straight. So you have numbers 1 to 31 in a hat.
Yeah.
So if you pull out 31, you're meant to do 31K.
Yeah.
But you
I did it in miles.
then decided to do it in miles. So to add another, 60% onto every single run that you're potentially having to do for the month of January. Just, just as you do, as you do, right? So you did the 496 challenge. 496 challenge. You did that in January, right? That's crazy. But anyway, so you've run every day in January.
Yes, I ran every day in January, and there were days where I think I did 31 mile, and then I had to do like a 28 mile the next day. So I did build it up in there, and I felt all right. Like some of it was brutal, and it was hard to juggle it around coaching and stuff because I'd have to run, stop, coach, and then run again. But after that, I was like, I can run the UK. I only did 496, so I did 496 mile. I rounded it up to 500 just because it would mess with my head. So I did 500 mile in January in 31 days, and I've got to do 900 mile in 20 days.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but you're saying that it's similar, but it's nearly double again,
Yeah, so. No, it is. It's crazy, but
you don't have to coach. You don't have to coach for 20 days.
No, exactly. All I have to do is run.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to think about. Run.
Exactly. No, it's crazy, and again, I cannot take my hats off enough to the mental resilience to be able to turn up every day and plan out this challenge and just prep your body for it, and how much you must be investing in yourself in terms of your nutrition and your training. And obviously you come here, we're sat here at Heist, and you come here often, don't you, for your recovery. So just tell us a bit about that side of things, how many days a week are you going to the physio? How are you managing your body in preparation for this challenge, around work, around life, around sleep? Because I play rugby, and what you're doing makes rugby sound like a walk in the park. We train a few times and get smashed a little bit, but it's the repeat efforts in terms of what you have to do it's huge.
Yeah, it is. And my recovery is the main thing I've been focusing on. So I've been coming to Heist. I try and come at least once or twice a week here. Luckily, I only live up the road, so it doesn't take long to get here. And then physio, at the minute, I'm having 2 sessions a week just to keep me in check. And I'm doing half an hour to an hour of stretching a day. And it takes a lot of time. And then I've got my physio stuff on top of that, to strengthen my hips, to strengthen my ankles, just so I'm less likely to go over my ankle or something, get injured.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you add fatigue in, 10 days in, obviously one misstep and it's a massive setback. Yeah. Have you ever had any major injuries in your training?
No, I don't think so. I stretch all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very mobile.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I work on, and I need to work on. A lot of the lads laugh at how mobile or the lack of mobility that I have, but it's something that I made a conscious effort of. When COVID hit in 2020, I began my yoga journey. I started doing yoga at home, and then I was on and off for a bit. And then when I did work at the gyms in person, I did taught a stretch and mobility class twice a week. And I go to yoga. We have yoga at training. So we had yoga at training last night, but we have yoga. I go to yoga every week now. I do hot yoga when I'm back home in Ireland. I go to yoga every week, but it's still all of that and all the physio treatment I get at training, and it's still it feels like it doesn't even do anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you do really need to stay on top of it. And again, I keep touching on this, the amount of investment that you're putting into your body financially, but also time wise. Yeah. In terms of you have to manage your work as well, don't you?
Yeah, manage work, and even just the challenge as well. It's being hard. You got to make the posters. I've made the website. You got to contact people for trackers. So other people can track you during the run, and if they want to join in, they can join in. Just loads of stuff that you don't think of. Even driving the UK. It's a lot of effort put into this challenge.
Yeah, so. And that's why the message of putting it out there is so important. I believe I want more people to know about what you're doing, because it's super special for one. But also, the amount of time that you're committing to it is huge. Do you even have a minute to sit down and eat? Honestly, or are you just on your feet? Hard. Are you on your feet all day?
It's hard to my nutrition and actually being as good as I wanted it to be. Do you know? Because I have been busy. I've been thinking about other things, so you just get something quick and easy. But I have been focusing on it a bit more. But it's just been hard to juggle it all. Like if I was, say, sponsored by Red Bull, I were a Red Bull athlete and I decided to do this, they would sort it all out. All I would have to do is train.
Yeah.
And it makes a massive difference. So it has been hard, really hard.
Yeah, for sure. And I hope off the back of this challenge, fingers crossed. Anyways, you can get sponsored and make this your full-time job, because I've obviously transitioned from being from my example of being in a Super League setup, being a full-time athlete. Although I was a young kid and I wasn't on a hell of a lot of money. When you are a full-time athlete, it's all you think about.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when you go into the championship or you go into that part-time environment, and as great as it is, I have a podcast now, I have a business, I have something for me to fall back on. At the end of the day, it's not your sole focus of being an athlete anymore, because you have other things to worry about. Like you said about prepping for this race, or what would you call it, a race? Prepping for this challenge, you have to worry about social media, you have to worry about setting up a website, you have to worry about admin, and all these little back-end things that when you're a full-time athlete, that's all taken care of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, again, I'm massively hopeful of you being successful in this and being able to push it out there a little bit more and more people knowing about it. In the build-up to this, have you had any doubts at all, or have you just been razor focused on, I can do this?
I haven't had any doubts that I'm not going to run the UK.
No?
No. Not that. I've had doubts of raising enough money to get defibs.
Yeah?
And doing it in 20 days is going to be hard. If I don't do it in 20 days, I don't do it in 20 days, but I would love to do it in 20 days. The aim is 20 days. So I have had doubts about that, but I won't quit. I've said I'm doing it. I've got to do it.
I love that attitude. Tell us a little bit more about the defibs. How much does it cost to raise the defib? How many of you managed to get so far?
So roughly they're £1,000 each. At the minute, I'm on 11 defibs. I've got 11 defibs, and that's just through businesses, like donating. So I've had a few businesses sponsoring the run challenge. So they're giving me £1,000, and that's going to buy a defib. That's going to be able to put it into the gyms wherever they are in the UK, and they're going to get a plaque saying donated by and the business name. So I've got 11 so far, and then obviously just people donating into the GoFundMe page is going to help. So I'm hoping after the run I'm going to sort out all the defibs, because I'm not making a profit from this challenge, but I don't want to be out of pocket. So like the fuel, the petrol and stuff is going to be taken out of the money. But how much money I raise will be how many defibs I get.
I love that. And do you have any idea how much you're going to end up spending throughout the whole... How much was 5 days of driving from top to bottom, say, when you did the marking route?
Well...
About 10 tanks of petrol?
I think I stopped for petrol like 5 times, and it was like 60 quid each. I actually slept in my car, so I didn't have to pay for hotels until I did lock my keys in my car, so I had to pay for a hotel on one day, which were 100 quid. So I think I spent like £700. No, £400.
Just on the route marking?
Yeah, just on route marking.
The amount of dedication that this has taken, it's huge. And hopefully people listening to this, you can sponsor, you can jump on board, you can follow the project and hopefully generate a bit of traction. I know I don't want to look too far ahead past the challenge, because it's only 10 days away, but do you have anything else that you think you'd like to do?
I'm up for a lot of stuff, but I think I want to... High rocks is quite big at the minute, and I want to see how well I can do at that. Yeah? Yeah. See how well I can do at that, and give my body a bit of a rest from the crazy, crazy challenges. And I would love to go into schools and give talks, about just like focus, ambition, dreaming big, because I feel like kids don't dream anymore. I asked my sister the other day what her dream was, and she just goes, I don't know. People just coast through life now. They're happy to just stay where they are. Whereas I think life is too short to just coast. I want to leave a lasting impression. And I feel like I need to tell kids, help kids be ambitious and actually help them think, what's their dream? What's something to focus on when you wake up in the morning? So that's what I want to do. I want to go into schools, colleges, and just give talks.
Chase your dream.
Chase your dream.
I absolutely love that. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Nowadays, it's almost like we're herded towards the end of our life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And people like yourself who step out of that box and go, no, I want to map out my own journey, and I want to write my own story. People sometimes think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's mad to say that you've got up in the morning and whatever age you've decided, I'm going to live my life how I believe to be right, and then you're the crazy one. Yeah. Do you know, whereas get a good job, get a house, you know, you like find a partner, settle down, have kids. That's not the craziness anymore, you know. Yeah. And I'm a big believer that comfort is just the most soul destroying thing. Mm-hmm. When you're comfortable, that's it. Whenever I've got comfortable, I've immediately experienced a setback. Do you know what I mean? Whenever I've got too comfortable, whether that be with my business or with rugby, whenever I've got too comfortable with what I've been doing, I've had a setback. Do you know, once you start believing that this is all good, I'm happy where I am, you know, I'll just cruise here for a little bit, immediate drop off. Yeah. And it's always the case. And I can't remember who was talking about it. It might have been Hormozy. He mentioned the fact that the Queen died, however long ago it was, God knows. The Queen died. You probably haven't thought about the Queen's death till I just mentioned it right now. I know for a fact I haven't thought about it. But then when I seen that video, I thought, oh yeah, that happened whenever that happened. And that's the Queen of England, a monumental figure. So what impact can we make on the world? Do you know what I mean? If no one's thought about the Queen since she's died, do you know, that kind of way?
Yeah.
And she's meant to be, like, obviously around here, a monumental figure. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was a good frame to look at, is that even the Queen nobody thinks about when she's dead. So you may as well just live to your own beliefs and go and try write your own story. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to go, oh, well, she really put herself out there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The people are going to go, fair play to you. Mm-hmm. And that's a inspiring way to be. In terms of when you're setting off on these challenges, in the build-up, have you ever had any negativity around what you're doing, or people saying, like, why are you doing that?
You have a few people, but like the people who know me know I'm crazy, and like they just know how like mentally resilient I am, and they're like, she's gonna do it. I obviously have had a few people that are like, you're not gonna do that, and yeah. So I've had people, but then I just use it as fuel. I actually like it when people don't think I'm going to do it, because I use it as like fuel, and I just think I'm going to prove you wrong.
What's the best way of saying it? Knocking back the haters kind of thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. Saying, nah, that's not going to happen. I'm gonna show you that your belief in me is going to be wrong. Mm-hmm. I know you touched on it earlier, obviously, post Guinness World Record, you said that bit of a drop-off feeling before you started prepping for this challenge. How long do you feel like it was that you've been from that high to that sort of like, would you call it a low?
From my burpees?
Yeah.
Well, when I got in the car after the burpees with my dad, I just cried. And I cried because I didn't get the male world record. Like, I put this like high expectation on myself, and I wanted the male world record. I didn't want the female one. I wanted the male one, and I didn't beat it. So I was really annoyed at myself. And then I felt like a failure, but I knew I wasn't a failure. But I just had that like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted. And then obviously I was happy I broke the female world record, but as soon as it was done, I was like, what should I do now?
So it wasn't popping champagne?
No. Well, I was just so tired, I went to sleep. But I was happy with my performance, and I was glad that I got the score I did. And I wouldn't change anything from the day, because it just all worked out perfectly. Do you like the people there? When I broke the world record, my granddad joined in for the final rep, because he was the reason I was doing it for blood cancer, because he had blood cancer. And like the last 3 minutes, we played Roxanne. You heard Roxanne?
Yeah.
Usually it's a drinking game, do you know? You take it like a shot. But in CrossFit, you use it as a warm-up and you do a burpee every time it says Roxanne. So then everyone were cheering and I was having to do a burpee every time it said Roxanne. I was completely dead and I was trying to go that pace. So I wouldn't change any of it because it was an amazing experience, and I feel like if you want there, it's hard to explain. And I wish I had like a film crew with me for the full thing, because I don't think people understand how hard it is unless you do burpees or you understand how difficult burpees are. So I wish I had a film crew with me. But I was happy with I was really happy with how it turned out. I always like something. I always like to try to do better.
You're always striving for more. That's the competitive nature that you have. There's a couple of absolute gems in what you're saying really there, because you can always strive for better.
Yeah.
And it's funny that, because sometimes, and a lot of athletes speak about that sort of numb feeling when you get everything that you dreamt of, and it's always, well, what's next? Yeah. Do you know, we have this thing as athletes that you can't just sit and appreciate the moment that's in it.
No.
It's always, well, on to the next.
Yeah.
You can't just look and go, I'm exactly where I wanted to be. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm really grateful. Sometimes you just go, right, what are we going to move on to on the next thing? And when you break a Guinness World Record, what's that like? Are the people there at the end of it?
Oh, like the Guinness World Record people? No, so for that, I did it all myself, because Guinness World Record wanted like £10,000 to be at the event, to then like count my burpees and everything, or you could just do it all yourself, which was hard work, but I didn't have 10 grand to give. So I was like, I'm going to have to do it myself. So I had to have like 2 cameras filming me at 2 angles for the full 24 hours. And then I had to have 2 people counting that had to be like a professional in the sport, so like a PT, like qualified in somewhere. And I had to have like a TV with a time on the wall, time on it, and how many reps I'm on, and like loads of measurements on my mats. So there was a lot that went into it.
A lot of setup.
Yeah.
A lot of people to get involved. Like this next challenge, a lot of people to get involved.
Yeah.
And that's not easy, is it? To get people to stay up and count for 24 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
I had like a rota, so I had people on for like an hour. So I had different people. I'm like, I'm not going to put you through that much pain.
I was thinking, fueling them up with monsters, like, you know. No, that's insane. And then post-challenge, obviously, you said you were initially upset about the fact you didn't get the male record. Have you gone on a little holiday? Have you had a little break, or was it straight back to training? Like, do you even drink?
I do drink now and again.
Yeah.
I'm not a big drinker. Like, I could go out and have a good time and just not drink.
Yeah.
But I don't find it that fun. Do you know, a lot of people my age go out every week, and I just think it's the same thing, and then you're just dead the next day.
You don't want to train, do you? After more the same is just more the same, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm like, I'd just rather do something active.
Yeah.
Be outdoors. Yeah.
So did you go on did you have a little break from training after the world record for a couple of days, or was it straight back onto the next?
Well, I had a couple of weeks off. I was obviously doing something.
Yeah.
Maybe going on walks and stuff. I went to Mallorca actually. I booked Mallorca before I decided I was doing burpees. And it was meant to be a cycling camp for my triathlons. But my dad was like, Ellie, you're not taking your bike. You're just going to rest. So I did loads of walking. So that was probably my rest.
Yeah.
Walking and thinking about my next thing.
Prepping this now. And what's been the biggest hurdle, obviously, with Project 2020? What has been the biggest hurdle for yourself in the lead up to this that's now 10 days away?
The biggest hurdle mentally is, like, I've been messaging so many brands, so many, like, influencers just to post it on their Instagram story. You know, like, it only takes one person to post it, and that one person might see that, and it will go big. And I'll get more money for defibs, I'll inspire more people, and I just don't get nothing. It's like I'm running in Cloud Monsters, and just like running shoes, like I'll have like 5 pairs of running shoes, and I message them, and it just goes through to like AI bot now, so you can't get through to like a real person. So it's been so hard trying to get sponsorship, trying to get an awareness out for this challenge. But other than that, it hasn't been too bad.
Yeah.
I'm very focused on it. I'm basically nearly done. I'm just printing off, like, what my support crew have to do each day. Like, meet me here.
You'll be there at this time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, I definitely, I feel your frustration.
Yeah.
I feel your
It's so
frustration.
annoying.
And it, as a solo athlete as such, it's that much more frustrating.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In terms of trying to generate that interest, generate that traction, and actually train for the event. And that, I think that's the most difficult part, isn't it? When you're doing it all on your own,
Yeah.
is that you still need to do the burpees, do the running, do the triathlon, do that, whatever it is you're doing. You still need to do that while running the back end, the admin, the sorting sponsorship, and you're doing it for such a good cause as well. I can tell that you're passionate about it. It's something that's literally, excuse the pun, close to your heart.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's something that it means something to you, but trying to generate that traction is very frustrating. So again, as I keep saying, I hope that this can sort of push it out there more for yourself. Finally, final thing I sort of want to touch on is obviously Heiss is a place of wellness. We're clearly sat here now. You're clearly big into your wellness, but what does wellness actually mean to you?
Wellness just means, to me, like happy. Like you're happy with what you're doing, you're striving for them goals, and you're not quitting. You know, wellness just being like happy outdoors. Yeah.
Is that your place of happiness, just being out and training?
Outdoors training, yeah. That is where I'm happy.
I love that. Listen, Ellie, that was a serious message. You've inspired me, to say the least, and for anyone listening, make sure you drop a follow if you want to tell them where they can find out where they can find you.
Yeah, so all my training and everything that I'm doing is on my Instagram. It's Ellie Horrocks 04. And I've got a YouTube channel, which is Ellie Horrocks.
Make sure you check it out if you're listening to this. Generate a bit of love, generate a bit of support. Give it a like and a share, because it's a really special challenge. And I wish you all the best in the next 10 days of prep.
Thank you.
Obviously I'll be tuning in to Project 2020. But super exciting. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. And
thank you so
thank you
much.
again. That was a serious message.
Thank you. Appreciate that.